So Donald Trump is declaring another nonsensical trade war for his own personal feelings, ambitions, yet again. He has now hit Brazil with a 50% tariff due to the trial of his ally, his buddy, his friend, Jair Bolsonaro. You know, the guy who staged a coup in Brazil, whose supporters stormed the Capitol in Brazil. Oh, yeah. These two are very, very, they're very similar, okay? These two have a lot in common. They're besties for the resties, okay? Donald Trump is playing with the American people's money because he can't help but feel like a hit dog when Jair Bolsonaro is dealing with his trial, in which, oh, by the way, Jair Bolsonaro is so crazy, he tried to assassinate his own vice president. Oh, yeah, he tried to poison his own vice president. Now, Donald Trump supporters were in the Capitol saying, hang Mike Pence, and Trump knew his supporters were willing to dish out violence against elected officials and did nothing. But no similarities to see here at all. Totally coincidental. Let's read the article. Dickhead Donald Trump announced Wednesday he planned to hit Brazil with a 50% tariff, in part because of the treatment of its former president Jair Bolsonaro, his political allies. So unfair. They treat him so unfair. In a letter to his Truth social media network, Trump told President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, known as Lula, that the way Brazil has treated former President Bolsonaro is an international disgrace. Trump has fiercely defended Bolsonaro, who is sometimes referred to as the Trump of the tropics, as Bolsonaro faces charges that he plotted to overturn his 2022 election loss. This trial should not be taking place, according to Donald Trump. Trump accused the Brazilian government of insidious attacks on free elections and the fundamental free speech of Americans, including censorship of U.S. social media platforms. He's mad that the Brazilians aren't allowing Trump's absolute criminality and lack of regard for democracy to spread like the disease and virus that it actually is. Brazil's Supreme Court ruled last month that social media companies can be held accountable for the content posted on their platforms. Elon Musk's social media site X was also briefly banned last year in Brazil after Musk refused to comply with a court request to ban some accounts. In addition, we have had years to discuss our trading relationship with Brazil and have concluded that we must move away from the long-standing and very unfair trade relationship engendered by Brazil's tariff and non-tariff policies and trade barriers. Our relationship has unfortunately been far from reciprocal. I don't think I have to tell you all that Trump is lying, right? Every time, right? I know. I'm sorry. I'm tired too. Yes, he's fucking lying. No. We do not have a trade deficit with Brazil. We have a trade surplus. Donald Trump has lied yet again and has convinced his most ardent and most loyal suckers and cum guzzlers to believe that this nonsensical trade war launched by his ego is somehow or another necessary for America's economic prosperity. He's pulled it off again somehow. The reality is Donald Trump is doing this again because Jair Bolsonaro and Trump are the exact same kind of guy. This is a guy who plotted and staged a coup to remain in power after he lost the 2022 presidential elections to Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. Okay? It's the first time a former Brazilian head of state is being tried for allegedly attempting to overthrow the government. Donald Trump this week has definitely been engaging in guilty behavior, guilty as charged behavior, getting angry when asked about Epstein, starting trade wars because someone's going through the exact same trial he did. Donald Trump sees himself in Bolsonaro. He sees the criminality. He sees the racism. Bolsonaro was a guy who was asked, how would you feel if your sons fell in love with a black woman? And he said, my sons were raised right. They would never do that. Brazil is a heavily racially mixed country, and he speaks about his kids dating a black woman as a moral failure, despite the fact that Brazil's national origin is heavily rooted in its multiracial background. His kids dating a black woman would be a failure. He's also someone who's spoken openly against homosexuality. He's anti-LGBTQ. So this is an individual who's even more brazenly racist and openly psychotic than Donald Trump. Do you see now why Donald Trump is so defensive? Bolsonaro is actually unhinged. He's fucking crazy. He tried to kill his own vice president through an assassination attempt involving poison. Okay, Renaissance Italy. This nigga, that's how crazy the nigga we're dealing with is. Bolsonaro is that fucking crazy. Trump sits there and whines about free speech being infringed. There would be no concern about free speech if y'all didn't abuse it to this way of lying about election results to maintain power. If anybody can do that, the nation doesn't even function. Donald Trump is the throw the stone and hide your hand candidate. He's the worst kind of person you could ever possibly fucking meet. Absolutely insane. Bolsonaro's supporters on January 8th of 2023 stormed government buildings in Brazil, attempting to force military intervention and overturn the election results. If he is convicted, he will face up to 12 years in prison. It should be life. It should be life. If you ever think you can overturn democracy and throw the entire nation into chaos, you deserve life. You're not getting out. Toodles, as Granddad from the Boondocks would say. See you. Life is what you should get. You should get life in prison. 12 years. He deserves to go in and never get out. As an example to the rest of the people in this country, in that country, Brazil, and in our country, of what could happen to you if you do this. It is incredibly important for Bolsonaro to go to jail. Trump doesn't want this to happen because if Bolsonaro does go to jail, it sets an example for us in America on what to do with Trump and his cronies. And he doesn't want that because eventually Donald Trump's economic policies will come back to haunt either him or his political party or both, depending upon whether he's still around. And when that day comes, a lot of people are going to be interested in investigating January 6th yet again. That's the reality of it. That is the truth of it. Donald Trump is playing games with America's economy, fucking up the prosperity of the American people simply to stand in solidarity with his fellow criminals. Absolute scum. He is the scum of the earth. Donald Trump is a piece of shit. 50% tariffs, fucking up our economy for a fucking dickhead Bolsonaro. I pray to God he's buried under the fucking prison. I pray to God Bolsonaro never gets out. I hope that 12 turns into fucking 80, 90, 100 fucking years. Fuck that guy. It's a cancer. It's a fucking cancer. Bolsonaro saw Trump and he said, let me try. Deadass. He saw what Trump did and said, let me see if I can try. Trump is upset because he's fucking guilty. Trump is mad because he sees himself in Bolsonaro because Trump is guilty. That's the truth of it. That's the reality of it. It's the same reason why Trump got all uppity and angry about the Epstein question, because he knows full and fucking well he's guilty.